To our top story. Donald Trump asking a foreign government to undercut Democratic opponents at home. Now, this isn't a story about Russia, if you're listening, or a story about Trump admitting he's open to foreign help in the 2020 campaign. Those are two times that Trump has faced bipartisan rebukes for welcoming help from Russia. Well, tonight, it's President Trump seeking help from Israel to retaliate against two Democratic politicians, the first two women who are Muslim women in Congress. And before I even get to these details right now, I want to present you with some pieces of context. First, Donald Trump tonight, right now, having done this, is totally isolated. He is facing rebukes, we can report, from Democrats and Republicans, from national security experts and civil libertarians, from liberal Jewish groups, and from more conservative U.S.-Israel groups like AIPAC. So there's a lot of blowback already on this brand new news. And second, before I present you with the facts, and we will, please understand, this does not appear to be a story about foreign policy or national security. It's a story about a long-running partisan feud with the Squad. In fact, it was just about a month ago that Trump told the recently elected women of color they should, quote, go back to the crime-infested places they allegedly came from. Well, tonight, he has a foreign government that will now deny them entry by publicly bullying Israel's administration to reverse itself. Because right here you see just last month, Israel specifically said the congresswomen were allowed to visit, and that was out of respect for the U.S. Congress. Now, President Trump urging Israel to bar Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and alleging their policy views amount to basically a disgraceful hatred of Israel. So within hours of Trump posting that, the Israeli government reverses itself and gave in, blocking their visit. Now, as a technical diplomatic matter, countries may decide who enters. Israel has a law that actually authorizes the possible denial of entry to people who support boycotts of Israel, and Omar and Tlaib do. But foreign policy experts and Middle East experts say that's not what this is about at all tonight. In fact, they know that because Israel was planning to admit them and had said so on the record. And an Israeli journalist is now reporting the reason Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu made this reversal was because of, quote, the pressure from Donald Trump, which is why so many top American Jewish organizations and AIPAC, as mentioned, oppose this Trump tactic. So there's a lot going on, kind of a lot even inside the story. Let's just take this in. You have these groups and experts who work on these foreign policy issues for a living. Some of them, as you probably know, are critical of these very congresswomen. And these groups don't think this story is about foreign policy. They think it's something else, and they think it's dangerous, and they want it to stop. They think it's President Trump exploiting their work to double down on his long-running attacks on these women of color who lead the liberal resistance to Trump. As you know, he told them last month to go back where they came from. That very attack on them earning Trump his historic rebuke by the U.S. House, the first such vote in over 100 years, that declared a sitting president advanced, quote, racism. The same attack that his own supporters repeated back to him in that ugly chant that he basked in at a rally. When that footage went around the country, when it was on the internet, when it was on TV, all that next day, there were people who asked if Donald Trump condoned those lines. That is way too gentle a question. Donald Trump wrote those lines. He brought up that discriminatory frame. He stoked the anti-immigrant, anti-Muslim fervor. And then it was yelled back. And we know that discriminatory motivation because he ran on it, telling similar MAGA crowds back in 2016 that he was running on doing something unconstitutional. He wanted to ban an entire religion from migrating to America.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on.
Is there a link from running for president on banning Muslim travel to governing as president by engineering the ban of travel by the president's most prominent Muslim political opponent? Is a MAGA hat red? Tonight, Congresswoman Omar notes Trump has gotten another country to implement a version of Trump's Muslim ban, noting this time against two duly elected members of Congress. This is not a drill. This retaliation is not being done in secret where there might be some alleged debate about the cause and motives. The cause is clear. A foreign government buckling to Trump, who wields the power and the might of the United States in the world. The motive is same as it ever was. It's become somewhat normal to note the president's words and deeds are not normal, which is more of a problem than a paradox if you think about it. It's become common to hear the objections that Trump violates traditions. Well, tonight the experts and the neutral referees are quite clear. The Associated Press reporting Trump's move is completely unprecedented. The Washington Post reporting on an extraordinary intervention by Trump to seek foreign retaliation against these domestic opponents, while Trump's critics at the New York Times editorial board say this is new territory even for Donald Trump. I'm joined by Mark Ginsburg, former U.S. Ambassador to Morocco.